Hi everyone, this is Chaman. Today we are going to see PostgreSQL introduction, and it is how we can use that PostgreSQL and what is SQL and what are the command, and it's help with all the RDBMS database. So we can use all the SQL statement with other database like MySQL, Oracle. So all the SQL command are same for the every database, which is a relational database. Okay, so let's start. First, let's understand what is a database. So database is an organized collection of data structures, informations or data, typically stored in electronic in computer system. Database are managed by database management system, which allow user to create, read, update or delete data efficiently. There is a few key concept of database. To understand the database, we need to understand data, DBMS, schema and SQL. Okay, so first let's discuss why we need a database. So when we use some software or when we write some programs in some language like Python or some other Java, so we need to store some information to use in future. So we cannot store in the variable or some other like a file. If we store in the file, that is very tedious just to read and write, and that won't work. We need to that structure where we can efficiently access or manipulate the data. Okay, so that's why there is a database come into pictures. So we need to store some data in a structured way. That's why data provide that property and help the programs to interact with that using SQL. So data is a piece of information where what we are doing in the electronics world, everything is data, like creating some files, writing something, clicking something, talking someone, all about is data. When we clicking some pictures, it's all about data. So DBMS, which is a database management system, software that interact with in the user application and the database itself to capture and analyze the data. So it is a kind of software which provides some property to analyze and capture the data. A schema, there is a term schema. So the structure that defines the organization of data in database, including tables, fields, relationship and constraint. So when we need to store some data to retrieve or manipulate efficiently, so we need to provide some structure, some rules on that. So we need some types of rules to operate that. And there is a SQL, which stands for Structured Query Language. It's help to access the data from the database like Postgres and return the output of that data. So actually it is a query language where we can query the data from the database. In the market, there is multiple database types. So first, what we are going to understand, which is a relational database, NoSQL database, and in-memory database. So let's understand relational database. So we need to define some tables in the relational database and relate that one or more tables to access that data and manage the data. NoSQL designed for unstructured data, where you do not need to require that specific structure to store the data. So that is a dynamically typed data structure. Example includes MongoDB, Cassandra, Redis. In-memory database. So in-memory database is used to efficiently access the data, but it is not for permanent database, because when we system off or power cut, the data will be lost because it's store the data inside a RAM. Let's understand what is PostgreSQL. PostgreSQL is an open source relational database management system that emphasizes extensibility and SQL compliance. It's known for robustness, performance, supports for advanced data types and future. Key features of PostgreSQL is ACID compliance, extensibility, support for advanced data types, concurrency, rich SQL support, community, and ecosystem. Use case of PostgreSQL database, web application, data warehousing, GeoSQL application, business intelligence. So basically, PostgreSQL is an open source database system which is very popular because of it's provide that feature which is highly reliable and useful for the organization. Okay. Let's see the use case of that PostgreSQL. So first we need to install that database in our system or in our servers if we are using some servers, and then we need to create some database, and then we need to provide some users by creating that database so we can access using that user connecting to the database. So there should be some connection string using username, password, localhost, port numbers like that, and then we can create that table. So when we connect the database using some client like Table Plus, pgadmin, or any kind of SQL client where we can connect the PostgreSQL, and then we can perform some operations on the table. By creating that table, we can insert, alter that table name, table structures like column, and delete that. Okay, let's see the basic concept of SQL. So there is a table, row, columns, data types, primary key, foreign key. So first we need to understand what is table. So table is a container where we can store the data in the form of row and column. Suppose we need to put that student information in our table, then we need to create some columns inside the tables like name, roll number, age. Okay, so as a column, like for every student there should be a one row. So when we enter or insert the data of students, row one by one increasing, but the column is same because the name, roll number, and age for the student is same property for the student. Primary key. So primary key in a table is mandated to access or define some unique ID to access that data efficiently from the table. So we can provide some relations to map that other table also. So when we define some primary key inside a table, suppose we need to create one column ID and provide some unique ID, and that should not be null. So that times every student will get unique ID, and in other tables like teacher or some library tables, we can access as a foreign key. So we can define that as a foreign key in other tables. So that two tables form that relation to access that or map that data. We can understand in the demo tutorials in the upcoming video types of SQL statements. So there is a multiple types like DQL, DDL, DML, DCL. So first we understand the DQL, which is a data query language. Use select a statement to retrieve data from one table or more tables. Data definition language like DDL, create, alter, or drop. So it's work on definition levels. So when we creating some schema of that tables while we defining or altering, so that DDL operation works on the definition level. So we can completely drop or change that structure or create that structure. Data manipulating language. So when we manipulate the data inside the table, not structure of the table. For that times we need a data manipulation language like insert, update or delete. So when we inserting some information in tables, it's come under manipulation language. And when we updating some records or row inside a table, it is also a DML command. And when we deleting some specific commands or multiple rows from the tables, that is also a DML command. There is a data control language which is a DCL. We need to provide some permissions on the table or some users. So that times we need to grant or revoke. So give user a cross privilege to the database. So when we providing some privilege to access that database to the user, that times we need to use grant command. And when we remove some privilege from the users, we need to use revoke command. Let's see the conclusion of that basic introduction of that PostgreSQL or SQL. So understanding the SQL basic concept is crucial for anyone looking to work with relational database. Mastering SQL will enable you to efficiently manage or manipulating data, making it valuable skill in various fields, including data analysis, software development, or data administration. As you progress, you can explore more advanced SQL features and techniques to enhance your database skills. Yes, thank you guys. That's all for today. Yeah, thank you. Bye bye.